The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome to the Final Furlong Podcast for our day one preview of Cheltenham 2025. I'm Emmet Kennedy, joined by the top team. We've got Adam Mills at the Races pundit. We've also got Kate Young, who will be there on track looking after some of the best horses you will see at Cheltenham, and another man who'll be looking after horses all week and placing sizable bets, assuming that his card will actually work, is George Gorman. He got screwed over by somebody got his Uber Eats account and has been taking his money and his food. So we're going to fix all of that with loads of winners on the Final Furlong Podcast this week. If you have not hit the like or subscribe button, please do so now, and thank you for all the kind words about the content in the lead up to Cheltenham. It really does mean a lot. Opening race to begin with is the Supreme Novice Hurdle. The betting is headed by Kopek de Boords, who is devastatingly impressive at the Dublin Racing Festival. Multiple horses have gone from that Grade 1 to go and win at the Cheltenham Festival. Is Kopek de Boords going to follow in their hoof prints, or Adam Mills? Is he going to be the latest Min, Mellon, Get a Bird, Asterion Phalange, Tully Hill, horses sent off at under 3-1 to be duffed in this race? Where do you sit with Kopek de Boords?
Where do I sit? I don't think he's in that category. I think he's probably better than that because he has actually really achieved something. Do I want to back him? No. The first time hood would worry me a little bit. I think when you got a horse who's only had 3 starts and you throw the hood on, doesn't leave you a lot of places to go if it doesn't work. He's interesting in terms of if there's a superstar in this field, it's him. But he's, at the time of recording, what was Sunday night, 5:30. The exchange markets are open. You can back him at bigger than evens. I just wonder if this is the kind of horse that the bookies will want to get and you want to sit on. I don't want to start the week by backing a short price favourite and getting beat when I've got enough reasons not to back him. For me, though, the problem is if I don't back him, where am I going to go? I can't really bring myself to back Salvatore Mundi as much as I like Patrick Mullins as a person. I'm a bit suspicious that he's got the ride. And Salvatore Mundi has been racing for 2 years, pretty much, all bar 3 weeks. And yet this is only the 4th time we've seen him. That would put me off a little bit in terms of how easy he's been to train. I've never liked Romeo Coolio. He'll probably win, but I can't stand him. So I've got to back a maiden hurdle winner, which is really worrying. The one I came down on was William Money. I think he's probably a little bit overpriced. I was at Punchestown. I think he's steadily improving and the race will be run to suit. Be very poignant if those colours could win the Supreme this year. I wouldn't really bet in my heart that much, but I think he's quite a solid each way bet because I thought the way he saw out his last race suggested that he's matured. And if there are holes in the Mullins runners, he's probably the one with the experience to take advantage of that.
I wouldn't disagree with that. And Barry Connell has been talking this horse up basically since last season. The performance at Punchestown was really, I was there that day, it was soft ground. It was horrible ground, actually. It was a slow motion finish for the Grand National trial, but he was very impressive and the whole crowd just burst into a spontaneous applause. It was very emotional. If those colours are carried to victory in the Michael O'Sullivan Supreme Novice Hurdle, there won't be a dry eye in the house, Kate. But to be quite honest about it, we're here to try and pick out who's going to be winning. So who are you siding with in the Supreme Novice Hurdle? And is it the favourite?
Yeah, I think he's no doubt the one to beat coming into this. Like he was very, very impressive in the Tatzel's Iron Novice Hurdle at the Dublin Race Festival. His jumping was his main concern kind of coming into that race, but I think he kind of put that to bed. Like he was so good. He was kind of nearly outstanding compared to his rivals, and I just thought he was really impressive. I still think he's very, very short coming to this, and I'm on the same kind of lines with Adam. Be kind of looking somewhere elsewhere for something a bit of a bigger price that kind of might sneak into a place, or we might not have seen the best of some of these horses. And I'm still quite keen on Aranci. He was 33-1, but he's more than halved in price now. I think he's 12s, 10s to 1 in some places. Like he's a half brother to Duressa. Like I know he's obviously got flaws. He's obviously not the most straightforward to train. There's holes missing in his form, but I just love the way he won that maiden at Punchestown. I thought it was so impressive. I know it was early on in the season, and there's been a big gap, but he's coming into this fresh, and Connection's obviously keen to come here with him because they wouldn't be coming here otherwise if they didn't think he was in good form. So I think from of an interest perspective, I'm very much interested in him coming into this. I think he's a massive engine.
Okay, you have been talking up Aranci on the Final Furlong podcast for quite a while, and as you said, when you initially were talking about him, 33-1 was the odds available. Still 12-1 right now with Jeff Banks bet. You might get bigger on the day, and obviously Mark Walsh will be on board. George, does this mean that it falls on me to be the one talking up the short price favourite in the first race? Surely somebody's going to come to the rescue and talk up Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. Maybe Winston's going to do it here. He's going bananas in the background. Are you with the favourite in the Supreme?
Yeah, I'm with him. You don't really need to say much about it at this point, but he's achieved the highest level of any of these. It's worth noting that with 3 career starts to Romeo Coolio 6 and Salvatore Mundy's 4, he's probably open to more improvement than those horses as well. I can't have the worrying about his temperament. I think the hood's gone on because they're thinking you could only regret not putting it on. You wouldn't regret putting it on, if that makes sense. You could easily come out of there and go, why didn't we just belt and braces it? If he's going to wear one in the paddock, why not wear one in the race? And like the DRF, like now, same weekend as the Six Nations and that. It's hardly a library there. I've not been, but I imagine it's fairly buzzy there.
Oh yeah.
Like it might not be Cheltenham, but it's not like he's been running around in front of 10 people now. Like I think evens is probably value for him, but sort of the way that I've played it is I do like work ahead each way. A lot was made. He ran 0.02 seconds fast Kopek Day boards when he won his maiden hurdle. But, Kopek did everything wrong that day. Workhead did everything right. And in addition, it was Kopek de Boards' hurdles debut, which Workhead had a run. He obviously, he'd be entitled to step forward from that. He beat William Money. He's been second to Cal Boomga since and won a novice hurdle. Spring de la Mer won a Novices Chase since then. Redemption Day won today, who I think was back and forth. And crucially, it's Henry's stable form. I think, is it this year? So he had 16 winners in November with a strike rate 31%. 10 in December with 10%. 2 in January, 4%. 4 in February. Buckhead won his maiden hurdle by 7 lengths on Boxing Day, right in the middle of the bad patch. And you can guarantee they'll all be ready to go this year. Every year we worry about Henry's form coming to Cheltenham, and every year they show up. So my way of playing would be to have him running for me each way, and then on the day, your Sky bets and your Paddy Powers will be doing money back if your horse finishes second, third, or fourth, and I'd use that to back Kopek Day boards, and then you're covered both ways, really.
It seems like Winston agrees with you and wants to get stuck in, but he's looking for the Jeff Banks bet offers, which you can find out at jeffbanks.bet. Use your promo code FFP500. You're eligible for 10% back of any net losses after your first month of betting. Thank you, Winston. That's exactly what I want. You sit there in that exact position right at the microphone. That's fantastic. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. You want to back him? You want to put all your whiskers on Kopek de Boards in the first? Okay. All right. He says, don't worry about it. He's going to go and win. Don't complicate your mind. Put it down. Pick it up. Kopek de Boards wins Michael O'Sullivan Supreme Novices Hurdle. And well done to Skybet for doing that, by the way. That's an incredible, incredible thing. The My Pension Expert Arkle Challenge Trophy Novices Chase. Is it a case of put it down and pick it up for the unbeaten in 2 starts Irish Arkle winner Majborough, who bids for the 2nd season in a row at Mills to take advantage of Sergino's absence? Does he just outclass everything?
Yep, pretty much.
Kate Young, really, is he going to...
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate further there, Adam?
In my head, I was thinking, maybe I could get him beat on good ground and he might make a mistake, but he just 5-runner field, load of Sud. I don't know what they're going to do, really. That Warwick one would worry me. Django Bay, what is he doing in a 2-mile race in my head? Touch Me Not's held, and only by night surely won't be ridden to take him on. Just bounce him. He's another one. Just bounce him out in front and win the race. If Sergino was here, he'd wipe the floor with him, but he's not, so you may as well win this. And I don't really want to start. There's the each really there, because if this was a win-only market, everything else would have to be 8-1 or bigger, in my view. So maybe a forecast with only by night, because she'll get a really quiet ride, but I'm really not. I'm quite happy just to applaud Majra and move on to later on.
I would imagine, Kate, that Mark Walsh will just do exactly what he's done in the first 2 races, go out, make all, win.
Yeah, like I think people are being a bit harsh on his jumping at Leopardstown. Like the stats don't lie. Like he was 9.6 out of 10 on the race IQ data. Like you can't really get much better than that. He's, comparing him to the others in this field, he blew them away. The fences are probably argue a little bit more softer in Cheltenham as well. So if he does get low, it's the fences are much stiffer of an island. So whatever he's doing over here, surely he'll get away with it in Cheltenham. I don't think the ground will be a problem. It'd be, it's not going to be quick ground. It's going to be well watered, so it'd be on the soft side of good anyway. I just think, it's probably his race to lose. To be honest, I don't think Lotus Hood's a bad horse at all. I just don't think he's in the same class as Mashborough. Like he'll still win races, but I think I'm in agreement with Adam. He had a hard race. I think that might just left his mark. Just probably one race too many. He was tap for toe turning in, and he stayed onto the line and he ran through the line. Lotus Hood was pulling up towards the line, and Rubo went on and won over 2.5 the next time out, which suggests to me that it was stamina that is his forte, and he was just staying on towards the line. Lotus Hood had a tough race that day.
Yeah, I completely agree. The view seemed to be from Page Fuller that Django Bay is the appealing one for the forecast perspective. He only has the 2 starts over fences as well, but that form is probably pretty decent with handstands. We can talk about that a little bit later on when we come to the National Hunt Chase. But George, who are you with? Is it just a matter of put it down, pick it up for Mashborough?
Yeah, it is at this point. Like similar to my point on Kopek Day boards. He's set the highest standard so far, and he's the most inexperienced chaser and racehorse as a whole. He's had 5 career starts, 2 over fences, meaning he's probably open to most improvement. I didn't have a problem at all with his jumping at the DRF. I'm with Touch Me Not anti-post on this with 3 places. I couldn't recommend the 2 places each way bet unless he touches 20s on the day. I think what I'd be far more likely to do is play the forecast. I think that'd be the way I'd play it. So I think if he doesn't make that horrific mistake at Sandown, he finishes in front of Lotus Hood. And like for a novice to actually regather himself as well as he did, I thought was very impressive. Django Bay is not going to be quick enough for this. So I would be a concern receiving £7, but I think dropping back a furlong in trip might bring him a bit closer to Mashborough. It certainly won't make him further apart. Is the only thing I'd say for him. A horse that sort of jumps and travels as well as he does. That'd be my only sort of look into this race. I think he wins Mashborough, but who's backing him at 4-7? Like, put him in your multiples and that. I think he'll win. But if you were looking for a bit more of an exotic way of playing it, that's the forecast for me.
Okay. I think this is pretty simplistic stuff. Kopek de Boards wins the first, Mashborough wins the second. I'm pretty certain there's a very confident horse to be putting in for the treble. There may even be one to be putting in for the 4-timer. Whichever way you want to play it, you can sign up now to jeffbanks.bet to place your bets for Cheltenham. If you haven't already, you're taking on an actual bookmaker, not an algorithm. You're taking on actual traders who are putting their opinions on the line against your opinions, and they'll be there on track taking bets as well. FFP 500, you get 10% back of any net losses after your first month of betting up to £500. Now is the time to sign up for Jeff Banks Bet, and you can watch all of Cheltenham on the Jeff Banks app and the Jeff Banks website as well, for that matter, while you're listening to us on TalkSport 2 and the Final Furlong podcast as well. jeffbanks.bet, FFP 500. Enhance your betting experience with Jeff Banks Bet for Cheltenham now. First handicap of the week sees the changing man at the top of the betting, 6-1. No thanks. Broadway Boy has very interesting form, a very interesting Cheltenham form. 7s. We've got Krabilly, who was good at Cheltenham a year ago, probably should have gone closer. And Whistle Stop Tour, who has been lined up for this race by a team who've done exceptionally well in it. They've had several horses placed in it, and more importantly, they've run it twice with Corrick Rambler. He's had a sighter of Cheltenham in a race that tends to work out quite well, and he goes back up in trip. Who takes your fancy, Adam Mills, in the Ultima?
I don't have a too strong opinion in this race. I'd probably be against the changing man. I can see him as an each-way proposition, definitely. But that Reynoldstown fell apart, and he picked up the pieces. And, earlier in the season, he was out-battled by Frere Bamboo at Newcastle. I can't get that out of my head because that's a horse who doesn't want to win, and he still came past the changing man. So I'd be off him. What you want in a Cheltenham Handicap Chase is a lightly raced novice who's got in at the bottom of the weights. And there is one, but you're going to have to scroll right to the bottom of your betting page to find the odds. After just 6 starts over fences, I think Guard Your Dreams is a ridiculous price. The tongue tie goes on for the first time. He's got a superb record on good ground. Because he had 18 starts over hurdles, everyone thinks, he's been around forever and he's exposed. But he's only had 6 starts as a chaser. He finished 4th here at the October meeting, 3rd beaten 4.5 lengths by Peaky Boy in November, and then 4th behind Gemerond in December. 3 good runs at Cheltenham, all on ground with good in the going description. And then last time he was 4th behind Katat Dory in the old Racing Post Trophy at Kempton. But he was staying on really well at the finish. He ran a faster final furlong than the winner, and his run-out speed, which is the speed taken 2 seconds after he crossed the line, was the best in the field. Now, Katat Dory has clearly got far more scope for improvement than Guard Your Dreams, but he was staying on really well. They put the tongue tie on. Cheltenham is going to suit him a lot better than Kempton. And I thought 50-1 off a mark in the low 130s was worth a swing in an open race.
I know horses in the 130s don't have the best record in this race, but it doesn't matter because you've made a very compelling case, and he's getting in off a lightweight as well. Kate, who's on your shortlist for the Ultima?
Yeah, so kind of at first glance, Katate Dory coming in off a low weight and then with a £3 claimer, but he's had 4 runs this side of Christmas. That's a lot. I know he's improving and he's consistent, but 5 runs before the middle of March, I just don't know. That kind of puts me off. He was impressive the last day, and can't blame Connections for wanting to turn up here. But I think the Cinders Whistle Stop Tour is just standing out to me there for Cheltenham this year. She's not usually far wrong, and just has some prime that one.
You've already heard Aidan O'Hara make a really interesting case for Stay Away Faye. Down to a mark of 150. He was a 6-1 shot, and was he 3-1 in the morning when he was taken on Fact to File 3 starts back? He's down from 159 to 150. Harry Cobden, Paul Nichols, 40-1 about Stay Away Faye. Second run off a wind up. It just screams, we're coming to Cheltenham with a load of well-handicapped horses, and we're going to try and do some big work. 40s, though, I think is very, very intriguing, and it's available with Jeff Banks Bet right now. George, who do you like?
I better talk about this one first. I think Kate was on the right lines for me with Lucinda Russell and the Ultima, but I've gone for the other one. I had a long wait to see if he'd get a run here because he was out the weights. But I just fancied with the introduction of the National Hunt Chase and the Jack Turners that you could almost get in from out the weights. And anyway, he's in the weights now. He's got 10-3. He's number 23, Myertown. He came back from a year off the track to finish 5th on his Chase debut behind Caliph de Burley, who won next time out. High-class horses in front of him like Tedley, Asta La Pasta, Personal Ambition. He built on that since 2 wide margin handicap wins, either side of falling him, went in front 3 out of Windsor. He looked like winning when he fell at Windsor over 3 miles, but then his win over 2 miles, 7.5 at Kelso proved that he put up a career best performance at that point, putting up an RPR of 136. He runs here off 127, and I know you can't always believe these RPRs, but I believe my eyes that there. I think this all is still unexposed and runs off a rock bottom weight for Connections that know how to win this race. The other one that I have an interest in, again, what you were saying of horses with marks in the 130s, I've got one in the 120s and one in the 140s, so I should be sorted. I've got Sequestered as well. He did get an extra £2 for the English handicapper. He was a reasonable hurdler with a couple of RPRs in the 120s and 130s, but since he went chasing, he was tailed off over 2-2 on Chase debut. He stepped up in trip in his next 2 beginners chase over 2 6.5 and 3 mile half furlong. He's beat less than 10 lengths in both by Search for Glory and Croke Park. Then on handicap debut at Leopardstown, he ran over 3 mile, won by 10 lengths and 7 lengths. Next time he stepped back to 2.5 in the DRF, finished a valiant second to a horse he was conceding £7 to over a trip that we now know is short of his best. That was a race that produced Hartwood last year. I'd say there's no doubt that the winner was thrown in for this year. This trip, he can still prove to be well handicapped off 144. I think he's 20-1. The other one is 22-1.
I'm liking that a lot. So now we'll go for the Mare's Hurdle. 13-8 on Lossiemouth to defend her Mare's Hurdle crown. Adam Mills, is Lossiemouth going to feature in our multiple?
I'm sure she'll feature in plenty of multiples. I wouldn't be overly keen on taking odds on Lossiemouth. There's a lot of Ferrari about this, and really, why don't they just come out and say we don't think we can beat the other two? Because actually, if they just said that, it would all be all right. Just come out and be honest again. You know, the plan. We're going to go and take the easy penalty kick. This isn't. Steve Mellis did a great thing on Racing TV today, where he said, this is not the Connection's fault. This is Cheltenham's fault.
Well said.
You dilute the programme, you give easier options, you take easier options. Lossiemouth is, if you look at just the bare form, she has achieved more than the rest of this field put together. What she's achieved so far, she's won a Triumph Hurdle, she's won a Mares Hurdle, but I think this is a much deeper Mares Hurdle than last year. And for that reason, I don't really want to take odds on, especially when the plan all season has been to go for the Champion Hurdle, which is what I believe, and they've now decided she's not right, so we're not going to do that. The problem then comes, where do I want to go against her? I wasn't sold by Jade DeGrugy at all at Punchestown. I thought they looked quite laboured. She may well come on for the run. Maybe there's a part of me that thinks, thank God Townend's not on and he won't balls it up like he did last year, but, that's just pocket talking. Sorry, Paul. July Flower is very interesting. I'm not bitter about it. She's third.
No, clearly not.
She was in a French Champion Hurdle. This is something I am bitter about. And all the Cheltenham previews, everyone goes, July Flower chased home Hewitt Hurdle. Hewitt didn't win the bloody race. Losange Blue won the race, who if he was in the Stayers Hurdle would win it by a street. Talk about the right bloody horses. That annoys me. But anyway, July Flower won at Christmas. But I think she was really helped by two things. It was a really strong pace, and they omitted the last hurdle due to low sun. And because of that, Carla Conti, whose jumping was brilliant, didn't get to jump a hurdle in the home straight, and that gave July Flower the edge. Rachel Blackmore used her stamina. If this is a real test, it plays into July Flower's hands, but I'm not entirely sure it is. I was looking at this race trying to work out the pace. It's not obvious. Maybe Take No Chances might go forwards. Maybe Rachel decides to make it herself. I'm not sure. I just think Carla Conti's far too big. Far too big. Last year's juveniles were exceptional. The ground is really going to be in her favour. I backed her anti-post at the exact same price she is now, which shows what a shrewd judge I am. But at the same time, I'm delighted here. The old course is going to suit. She jumps really well. I know she handles good ground. And I think she's massively underestimated. And of all the mares in there, there's no question with Carla Conti. Will she stay the trip? I don't have to ask how she'll run. I don't have to ask whether I think she'll handle the track, whether the pace will suit her. Everything points to her running a massive race. And for that reason, I take her each way. And if Lossiemouth is the same Lossiemouth as last year, at least I'll finish second.
You can get 20-1 about Carla Conti, Adam Mills fancy for the Mares Hurdle right now with Jeff Banks Bet. Kate Young, what's your thoughts on the Mares Hurdle?
Yeah, I think obviously Lossiemouth, she sets the standard, but it's hard coming in off to Cheltenham off the back of a fall. Like, we don't know what that fall, we don't know what she's like now. Like, she took a hard fall that day, and I don't think the stats are good for a horse coming into Cheltenham off the back of a fall. I have in my head that it's quite low.
There have been three that have done it. One is Nichols Canyon and one's Black Hercules. I can't remember the third.
So what's that in the last 10,
I think it's
15?
3 from 80 something, I think.
Yeah, and with the exception of Black Hercules, wasn't Nichols Canyon was a massive price. He was 20s backed into 10s, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, it's a big ask and just worries me. When she ran in Ferry House, she looked exceptional. And I just don't know did she underperform in Kempton? She never looked like Constitution Hill went too quick. He didn't. I just don't know I don't think she turned up that day. And obviously we don't know what was going to happen in Leopardstown either. I think she's brilliant. And if she hadn't fallen in Dublin Race Festival, she probably would have won. But it's just hard to know what that fall is taken out of her. Will she come back from it? It'll take a lot of her to come back from that. But 4-6 is very, very short. Joyo's interesting runner, but I don't know whether she wants a bit more juice in the ground. Might just be a little bit quick for her. But I quite like July Flower as well. Coming into this for Henry's coming back into form. And 12-1, I think she's very interesting. Yeah, I think if Lossiemouth turns up the way she was, she'll win.
Who's your pick, George?
I'm going. I think we spoke the day of or the day after Jade de Grugy won, but I was very pleased to hear it because to my eye, she looked like she went for her girths turning in, and that's where I was most impressed. I thought she really blew up turning in and then went away. Like, that's a horse with a lot of quality to me. I'm a big fan of hers. Like I think she was the most inconvenienced in the Dawn Run last year of the two of them that were having their own private barging match. Like, she had to switch out, switch back in, switch out again to my memory. And she made up a lot of ground, got tired close home. She put that right, winning the Grade 1 over this trip at Fairy House the next day. Spindlebury was 2 1/4 lengths back in seconds, now rated 142 over fences. Jatara was 5 lengths back in third, who's then was second to Ballyburn, the Grade 1 next time, won a Grade 2 on her most recent start. And she's also rated 145. Like I said, I think she needed that badly, and she gave £9 and up to the field the last day. I'd still take a chance on her if you can get 5 6s on the day, because Lossiemouth is going to be popular. If you can get that, I'd back her each way and just know you're not losing too much if she finishes second or third. But I think there's a chance she's good enough to beat her over this trip. So I think she'll stay the trip better than Lossiemouth will. Last year there was just nothing good enough to make her stay it. Maybe this. But I'd say the one that's not conditional on price on the day, I really like Jatara here. And I liked Carla Conti as well by the same thing. It was more just they're rated the same, and Jatara's nearly twice the price. She has form with all the best horses. She's got a Grade 1 3-length third to Dancing City, a Grade 1 5-length third to Jade de Grugy, a Grade 1 3 1/4 length second to Ballyburn. Her 2 wins this term have come at around 3 miles, but she also won a Curragh Maiden over a mile and a half in November, so she's not lost all her speed. Plus, last time out with her win, it was the first time she worn cheek pieces, so it could be maybe that the headgear has more to turning her around than stepping her up to 3 miles. In any event, she's going to stay out 2-4 well. She's going to have the cheek pieces on again, I'm sure. I haven't actually checked.
She does.
She has. And I think given she's got the 4th highest RPR in the race, 25 to 1 is just way too big.
It's a very good case. It's well made. That's so boring. I just think Lossiemouth wins it. Caliconti is the most interesting one of the big price horses. The big one! We've spoken to Nico de Boinville. We've had multiple guests on the show. We've had Danny Mullins on the show. We've had all the angles covered for you. Who are you with in the Champion Hurdle? Jeff Banks bet goes 15-8 on about Constitution Hill, 11-4 and 11-2. That's the double we're looking at. If you followed us in at the Christmas show, the dream's alive. Brighter Days Ahead, 9-4. She's a big stumbling block, as is the defending champion Stateman, 7-1. If he comes back to himself, the rest of them are massive, massive prices. Adam Mills, is this a 2-horse race? And if so, who are you with?
It's a 2-horse race. I don't really want to have a bet on either of them at those prices. I'm kind of disappointed Lossiemouth's not here, because I think Lossiemouth not being here really affects Brighter Days Ahead's chances, because when Lossiemouth was here, Nico had to have one eye on Brighter Days Ahead in front of him and another eye on Lossiemouth would probably be behind him. Now, for Nico, all he's got to do is go, I'll just stick on the mare's tail, cut the lengths off the mare and I'll pick her up. And that kind of swings me towards Constitution Hill, but I don't want to back him at odds on the hype and all the gibberish all season long, hearing what he eats for breakfast gets on my nerves. It just irritates me so much. So I've found a bet in this race, but you have to go a little bit niche to find this bet. But I quite like the betting without Constitution Hill and Brighter Days Ahead angle, and just pick the other 5. Stateman is not the same horse. But the problem is Paul Townend's got to ride him as if he is the same horse, because at some point he's got to try and win the Champion Hurdle with last year's Champion Hurdler. But I've looked at the data. I think Stateman is at the moment, and the run at Christmas was rancid. The run last time, I know he just sort of jogged around on his own, but he didn't look in love with the game. He didn't finish like a horse he'd had, but the most part of 5 furlongs to canter on his own. But then there's this other angle that Burdett Road has improved, and I think he's improved because he's been front running. Well, he can't front run with King of Kingsfield in the field because Burdett Road will need oxygen at the top of the hill. So he's got to change tactics. That'll affect him. Golden Ace beat Burdett Road at Wincanton, but that was a hard race. Now, Jeremy Scott is in rock hard form, unbelievable form, but I still think she had a hard race, and I don't really see her as a Champion Hurdle. I don't think she's good enough. So that leaves me with the betting without market on Winter Fog, who I managed to get 9-1 this afternoon on him to finish 3rd. Winter Fog has been faster than State Man over the final 2 furlongs in each of his last 2 starts. He is going to get the quietest ride imaginable from Brian Hayes. He probably won't even be in the screen at the top of the hill. But all of the others, for various reasons, could find this pace pays for them. And let's face it, if State Man's beaten, Paul Townend, he's not going to ride out a finish. He didn't ride out when he was second 2 years ago. He's not going to ride out a finish now. Winter Fog, much like years ago, is going to be the horse who suddenly emerges at the bottom of the hill with something left in the tank. And 9-1 for him to finish third looked a bit of value. If you're asking me between the top 2, I think Constitution Hill wins, but I'll be shouting for Brighter Days Ahead.
I absolutely love that.
There is
so you can get that bet with Jeff Banks Bet. Kate Young, your thoughts on the Champion Hurdle?
Yeah, it's I think people are being a bit unfair statement now, like
Kate,
perform this year, but
Kate, do we have to have an intervention? He's
still
gone.
gonna
I'm with you, Kate.
He's not gone. Like.
He is gone.
He's like the ex-wife. For a brief moment, you look and think, I remember why I liked you, and then he'll let you down.
But yeah, like,
do you have something to tell us about your marriage?
There's at least one ex-wife joke a pod with Adam, isn't there?
I can reel them out, mate.
Like they put the cheek pieces on first time. Fair enough. If that doesn't spark some revival, then I wouldn't be surprised if he turned up in the Stayers Hurdle at Punchestown. That's probably where he'll end up. It would that's probably where he'll end up if he doesn't show some sort of spark here. Where else can he go?
To a field to rest for the summer and try and come back next year revitalized. If this fella's when he gets destroyed in this race, crushed, they're just going to have to back off him and see if he can bring him back next year. Don't go to a bloody Stayers Hurdle at Punchestown with him.
What now? Things have happened.
Well, true.
But I just think Bright Days Ahead. I thought she was so impressive at Christmas. If she has come on from that run, I think the better ground as well will only help her. I think if she can get into rhythm early on, King of Kingsfield's obviously going to set a strong pace. Will she have Constitution Hill out of his comfort zone early on? She might just be able to do that.
She might be able to make him grab. Like he's grabbed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He's liable for doing it as well.
Yeah.
He does it. I think he does it at least once in every race.
Where as long as she has a lead, she jumps great. And
and that's why King of Kingsfield will be in there, and he's quick enough to go to pull her into the race for I'd say 3/4 of it at least anyway.
This is what I said on a podcast at the preview I did the other night. King of Kingsfield probably only take her to 4 out, but if she gets to 3 out and Constitution Hill's not there to take her along, she's won anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if she either has a lead, she either has something to run with going to 3 out, or she's already blown the race to bits.
All right, give me your thoughts on the race, George.
At the moment, the way I would have to play it is Brighter Days Ahead. I think she's also beat on recent form. And RPRs are a bit of a guideline, really, but she performed a 165 on her last start in the Grade 1. Constitution Hill's put up unbelievable figures in the past, but last time he performed 165 or over was in the entry hurdle. I'm aware his top level's miles above these, but the mayor's shown me that this year. And maybe Constitution Hill, you might argue, hasn't had the chance to, but I have to go on what I've seen this year, not what I saw 2 years ago. And she's 9-4 and he's odds on. That's the only way I can really play it. And if Constitution Hill wins with Nico blowing kisses to the crowd, how great for racing. It's fantastic. But if I'm having to have a bet, it'd have to be Bright Days Ahead. I do think
tell me you're not doing the fence sitting. Do you know who's going to win this race, Emmet? Racing. Racing's going to be the winner of this race.
We're all winners, really. But I think State Man has a place chance. I really do. I think he technically, once you take the this is really reaching. Once you take the £7 claim into account, he actually performed to a higher level than Brighter Days Ahead first time out, even though he lost to her, which I know is pointless because there's a £7 penalty here. but that's not a horse that's gone to me. Like he's run to a high level. It was 166 on RPRs that day on seasonal reappearance, which is bang in line with his previous season's reappearance and the season before that's reappearance. So you're talking about one bad run for me. I didn't have a problem. They went hard early, and Paul thought, I'll go home as steadily as I can because I don't want to blow the head off him for Cheltenham. For what? To win by 20 lengths instead of 10? Like I think you're dealing with that one bad run in the middle. And like even like a replication of what he did first time out, could see him finishing third. Like even if Lossiemouth was here, she's never run to 166 on RPRs ever. Like he might not be able to find a way to win, but 9-1 each way, or place only, however you want to play it. About the reigning champions, just too good to ignore. The first time cheap pieces might be a bit of a Hail Mary, but I don't think they're a negative. They can only improve him. Like you never de-improved a horse by sticking cheap pieces on it. I think he's still just about a bet if you can get odds against 3 places.
I am fascinated that we've all seen the same races, seen the same horses, read the same data, heard the same opinions, and 2 of us have come to radically different conclusions to the other 2. And you two are wrong. You're wrong.
But you'll concede there was nothing wrong with his reappearance. For me, I don't understand how there is. He just came up against the best horse he's ever come against on a seasonal reappearance, and he had to give her £7.
I think that the analysis of this, and I might look like a complete and utter tool by the time this gets clipped out, I think the analysis of this has been complete madness all season. Essentially, the narrative is Constitution Hill is not the same horse. Why? Oh, because Nico had to use the Pro Cush on him a couple of times and shake him up. And because he's now going to have to take on this wonder mare from Gordon Elliott that might be the best horse he's ever trained, and she's won by 30 lengths, and it was an incredible fast time, and blah, 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 blah. If brighter days ahead, and well done to the O'Learys for running in this race, and well done to Gordon for going for it. I wish them well. I really do. I think it's fantastic she's in this race, because if she wasn't, this is just a lap of honour for Constitution Hill. So fair play to them for turning up. I really admire them. And if she goes and wins this race on the back of a 30-length win, she can back that up against one of the best hurdlers to ever do it, then she is a machine. And I will praise her as such. I'm not so sure she can back up from that. I certainly don't think she can improve for it. But if she does, well done. Constitution Hill gave weight and a beating to a race-fit Lossiemouth on his first run for a year. Gamble responsibly. Don't pass up this opportunity. And don't complicate your mind. This is real simple. He wins. I can't wait for this race. It's going to be... I'm either looking like a complete dum-dum, like I usually do, or I get to talk about one of the best to ever do it on TalkSport. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a cracking race. All right, the Juvenile Hurdle. Let's race through this one real fast. Who's on the short list? I'm fascinated to hear what you all have to say, but particularly French racing expert Adam Mills. Stencil is the 11-2 favourite with Jeff Banks bet. Does that make sense to you?
No, it doesn't make sense to me. Marker 135 looks a little bit harsh. I think the handicap has taken advantage of the fact that this French one has come over here, so I can give him a mark. If he's 135 horse, then East India Doc must be getting on for 150 horse. And if East India Doc is 150 horse, let's not run the Triumph. Just give him the trophy and we'll have a veterans handicap instead. It's absolutely madness. So I can't really back him. My worry with Stencil was the one time they went hard in France, he got beaten out of sight. And that would just put me off. I think Noel George's confidence in the press, and he should be applauded for the amount of press work and how open he is, but I'm just not really sold. There is a couple of French angles in this. One little piece of housekeeping. It says Sony Bill his first time tongue tie for Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. That's not right. He always wore a tongue tie in France. They've just decided to put the tongue tie back on. Doesn't really interest me particularly. Kind of take on. Everyone has this view. The Irish handicapper's got the juveniles wrong, and therefore they're all badly handicapped. What if the Irish handicapper's got the juveniles right? And if he has got them right, that maybe suggests that this form could be stronger. I really like Mercia. Now, maybe I'm talking in my pocket because I backed Mercia for the Triumph, but she's landed in the Boodles for various reasons, but she was a listed winner in France. The run in the fog at Christmas, we have no idea what happened because they disappeared into the fog, and by the time they came out of it, she'd gone. But that second in what is effectively the Boodles trial at Naas was quite impressive, and she really ran down back an Alien. I thought she was coming back to herself. So she'd certainly interest me. Rachel Blackmore, Kelly Alexander colours, that's obvious. The other one, though, that I think is potentially well handicapped is Quantock Hills for Warren Greatrex. Quantock Hills came with quite a big reputation from France, won on his second start at Dieppe back in last June. The two horses he beat that day would both have marks in the high 130s now. He beat Motti Mark, who was third. He'd be rated sort of around 136. So off 126 on his French form, he's quite well in. At the start of the season, he tried OPEC at Wetherby. Now, OPEC went on to win her next couple of starts, including the listed race. That form's quite good. Dead heated for the Triumph Hurdle race here in December with Terra Firma when he was on the wrong part of the track in the middle. And last time, although he was fairly beaten by East India Dock, he hung left up the straight. He made a mistake. But he's ended up in the Boodles off 126, carrying 11-2. Harry Cobden's booked. I think that's pretty fair. He's got form at the track, but the old course is going to suit him better because he's got a decent turn of foot rather than stamina. So he'd be my each-way play, but I think Mercia might just be a grade 1 horse in a handicap.
Okay, so really like Quantock Hills, very, very interested in that, particularly Harry Cobden for the first time as well. That's a massive advantage. You know I'm a big Mercia fan, but I can't help but notice that Paul Townend is booked to ride Sonny Bill. Paul Townend has only ridden in the Boodles, or Fred Winter I should call it now, twice in the last 4 years. Second on St. Sam, second on Gaelic Warrior. Why is he riding Sonny Bill and not Mercia?
Because they don't want to finish second with Mercia?
Why is he... Oh, Jesus.
Sorry.
Why is he even riding in the race? He was minding himself for Galopin des Champs and not running in a handicap last year, except for Absurd in the County Hurdle. Why is he riding this horse at all? They must really fancy him.
Maybe they do, but just his form is not as good as Mercia's. So the only thing I can think is that they had 2 runs in the Grady races with Sonny Bill. It didn't really work out that well. So then they decided, right, we'll make a plan for the Boodles and we'll put Paul on and we'll throw the tongue tie back on. I'm not sold enough to really think there could be. At the start of the season, I'd have made a case for Sonny Bill, definitely. Former Nietzsche has, narrowly beaten by Sauvignon, but Sauvignon for Paul Nicholls, well, the least said about that Triumph Hurdle suggestion, the better. And then aside from that, you're struggling. So, I mean, maybe Paul's decided this is one for him, but it just wouldn't interest me that much. And I like Mercia. She's really honest. And that Mercia that ran at Naas was the Mercia who won a listed race at Auteuil last season. And that Mercia should be in the Triumph. Therefore, if she's in the Boodles, she's got to be worth a go regardless of the weight.
And that's the race that has produced more winners of the Fred Winter than any other. And Bacalachin, who wins it, goes and bolts up in a grade 2 only a week later. The form is there for Mercia to run a massive race. You are getting, currently, with Jeff Banks' bet, 12-1. It's 14-1 about Sonny Bill. That would split stakes. Kate Young, can you solve the Fred Winter puzzle as well as Adam?
Yeah, I was keen on Mercy as well, but Adam kind of delved into her quite deeply. So I'm quite keen on Slurricane, at a big price, 25-1. He's getting Tom Harney's riding, taking another £5 off. He's been riding him. I think he's ridden him 3 or 4 times. He's well accustomed to him, but I just really like that horse. The owner, Eleanor Kennedy, she's very, very lucky owner. Had very good winners on the flat for Michael O'Callaghan, and yeah, I kind of half fancy him to run into a place. He's got good form. He's I think he beat Beyond Your Dreams, who's less than half the price he is, and Total Luck as well. He was in behind him. I just think he might be forgotten about, and coming in off a very, very low weight.
11 stone 2, mark of 126, and Tom Harney takes off £5 as well. I like it, Kate. I like it a lot. George Gorman, who's on your shortlist for the Fred Winter?
Said about Mercia again. The only thing that I would add is the race in the Grade 2 at Leopardstown. The way I saw it, from what I could see, was that she went to go with the early pace in a 10-runner Grade 2 at Leopardstown, which I presume most of the races she ran in France was sort of hack and sprint jobs. It might have been a bit of a culture shock to her, which she then seemed to get the hang of the next day. I think she was an unlucky loser. I like Beyond Your Dreams. Plenty of experience, 11 flat starts, 3 over hurdles. She beat Slurricane last time out by 3/4 of a length. He obviously came out one next time out. He's rated 126 for this. Then beaten half a length by Total Look. Finished 4 lengths in front of Wendrock on that. So she is now, she's £2 better off with Total Look, £6 better off with Wendrock, and £5 better off with Slurricane. So they claimed 7 off him the last day, and they only claimed 5 off him this time. I think that in and of itself makes her of interest here. Just you can take 3 fairly serious contenders and say she's better off with all of them. She's a backable each way still, and the first time cheap pieces in a race like this always make me think it's a plot job. Because what's the first thing that happens? Ding dong, steward's room. Can you explain the improvement in form? Oh, well, yes, the cheap pieces have completely turned this horse around. And funny enough, my wild one for this is another one that's got first time cheap pieces for the exact same reasons. Also ran in the rated hurdle at Naas, was beaten 10.5 lengths while looking fairly tenderly handled late on. It's Holy See.
Yeah.
On his 2 previous hurdle starts, he finished much closer, but
you saw that too.
What has been a bit of a, whether you think he's tenderly handled or you think he's a short finisher, like he does tend to mount a challenge and then fade late. But those 3 runs he had over hurdles in Ireland were yielding soft, and soft to heavy. You think the sounder surface he might finish his race off a bit better, especially if you consider his platform in France. He had 3 starts, 2 were on the all-weather, won and was beaten ahead. On the 3rd start, he ran on heavy turf and was beaten 18 lengths. Just think, surely a sounder surface is going to suit this horse better. If he could sustain that effort to the finishing line, I think he'd be higher than 125. And like I said, again, the cheap pieces are there to explain the improvement in form from owners who backed the hell out of one this last year in Eagle Fang.
And Oakley Brown claiming 5, and he was on board the last day as well. It's a plan, and it's been spotted by George Gorman. There's loads of plans, though, in that race. That's the problem. But am I right in thinking we all like Mercia? Yeah, exactly. But am I right in thinking we all of us like Mercia?
Mercia, yeah.
All 4 of us. In one of the most competitive hurdles of the entire week.
And she's 12-1.
All right. Don't say you weren't told. Final race on day 1 of the 2025 Cheltenham Festival. Now is the hours. Your 3-1 favourite for Gavin Cromwell with Jeff Banks bet. From Haughty Colour, 4-1. Transmission 5s with Patrick Mullins in the plate. Captain Cody, who will be running in honour of the late Michael O'Sullivan, who would have been riding him, 7-1 shot. That's a lovely touch from his connections. Will do 9s. And Jericho Rock is back. And he's a 12-1 shot to go better at Cheltenham Festival, having placed in an Ultima. Adam Mills, Jericho Rock is alive and well. Who is going to win the National Hunt Chase?
Well, I've got sort of 2 angles in this. I think 80 Colours is by far the most likely winner. But I was, like many people, I thought Sean Bowen had this ride and he doesn't. Now, that's nothing against Ben Jones, but I'd rather have Sean Bowen. 4-1 is a little bit skinny, but I thought the trial race for this that he won looked pretty good. His top speed was faster than Transmission, and he was faster than Transmission after the winning line as well. I thought he was just dossing a little bit. He's the obvious one, but he's just too short, and I'd back him at 4s with Sean Bowen. I'd want 7 or 8s with Ben Jones. But that being said, me criticising jockeys, I'm going to have a right swing at this with one of Venetia Williams' horses. Now, Venetia is at 3.7% for the last 14 days, which is a worry. But this horse wants good ground, and his name is Indoor. And you're going to have to scroll down there. He is 33s.
Oh, whoa. You're just... you know who's going to be riding.
I do know he's going to be riding, but that's partly why I'm getting 33s. And I think if Charlie Deutsch was on this, we'd be getting 12s. So that's factored into the price. But whatever you think of David Maxwell, he is improving as a jockey. And he's ridden some really nice winners. Rode a really good winner at Auteuil the other week. He was absolutely mugged at Sandown. He did nothing wrong. That was a brilliant ride on Off the Jury, who's not the easiest horse. You have to see Off the Jury run out the time before. He's a tricky ride, and he was inches away from landing a big pot. I saw this horse win at Ascot on good ground in January on Clarence House Day when he bolted up. This trip is what he wants. He was beaten last time, but he finished third, 4 lengths behind O'Connell. O'Connell came out and finished second in the Ida next time. He's 33s, and what we do know is this race is all about keeping your horse together and getting to the third last with some sort of chance. David Maxwell will do that because that's how he rides. All of his rides are the same. It's a view of let's get to the third last and let's see what I can do, because he fully accepts he's not the best in a finish, but he is starting to place his horses. He's lower in the saddle. I thought 33s was a bit of an insult for this horse. The yard form's a bit of a worry, but the yard form and the jockey's ability are factored into that price. And I just see him running a really big race, and I think the market will just ignore this horse because they think the jockey can't hold on.
I will never question an Adam Mills 33 to 1 shot, and you did put up friend of the show David Maxwell in the Grand National, and he placed. So I'm just playing. Kate Young, your shortlist for the National Chase, or your main fancy?
Yeah, I quite like Captain Cody. I thought he was staying on well at Navan, kind of come back to the line and take him third from Now Is the Hour. It's probably a little bit more of a personal preference, so with the owners deciding to run here in memory of Michael O'Sullivan, who was on his starts this season. So it's probably a little bit more, I'm hoping to see him win. I think it would be lovely to see him win. I think stepping up in trip again might just eke out a little bit more improvement as well. But I also quite like Gordon's horse, Will Do. I know he only ran about 19 days ago, but stepping up 3 mile 2 on that Grand National trial, certainly seeing a bit more improvement come from him. And Gordon's got quite a good record in this race, and something like him could just pop up here at a bigger price. It's kind of a relatively open race. Like there's apart from those two, nothing's really standing out to me. Obviously, you've got Now Is the Hour. He was kind of shoved into the head of the market after getting a £10 rise for his efforts at Navan. But yeah, I'm kind of keen on Captain Cody or Will Do at a bigger price.
George?
Yeah, I will get to Adam's horse because he might be my tip in this conditional on the first reserve getting in or not. I really like a work in progress. He's the first reserve. He showed a lot of promise. He ran Irish Point at Belclare. He's beat 8.5 lengths by Romeo Coolio. He was a length and a half behind Dedicated Hero, I think, won the Rossington Main. He was no good over 2 miles over hurdles, but they stepped him up to 2 mile 5.5 at Fontwell, and he beat Indoor by 4 3/4 lengths with a gap of 32 lengths back to the third. Then after his summer break, he won 4 chase starts back to back over 2 mile 6, 2 mile 7. His RPR improved slightly with each one. He was just doing enough the whole time. The most eye-catching. They gave him a little break mid-season. I should know if I have ridden this horse out a fair little bit, but I was involved in the break, which was interesting because he got very, very fresh. But when he came back, he was a different horse. He travelled all over them, jumped like as good as you could hope from any horse. Like, it was the most impressive of his wins by some way, and it was the highest mark he'd ever run off. There's no doubt he's well handicapped at 3 miles, and if he can improve for this trip, like I think he will, he'd be a stone well in. But off that form, I do think Indoor is, like, for everything that Adam said there. I think it's important to mention when he won a Taunton, he beat Heracles Westwood by 3 lengths. That horse won his next 2. He's rated £13 higher now. That was on good to soft, and his subsequent win at Ascot, which was a big improvement, was on good ground. He was beaten on his most recent start on heavy ground that didn't suit. I just think a return to a sounder surface could see him continue his progress. I dug around for any stamina in his pedigree, and what I find was Needle, who was placed in a Portman Cup on heavy ground over 3-4, and a horse who Adam might know called Utah Della Cockway, who was 4th in a 3 mile 4 Po cross country race on heavy. So there is stamina around that sort of stallion. But I say he would be conditional on a work in progress not running. Like, one of them is going to be my each way tip, depending who shows up. My main play is Captain Cody. He was an exceptional bumper horse, half a length second Slade Steel, beat Blizzard of Oz 6.5 lengths, finished 6th in the champion bumper. His 6.5 length Grade 2 Novice Hurdle victory got a mark of 138 over hurdles. He looks capable of much more over fences. He's improved his RPRs from 112 to 125 to 133 over fences. He was really eye-catching, finishing 2 3/4 lengths behind 3-card Bragg, who's now rated 147. He looked to all the world that Further was going to suit him that day. I think he's got the best chance of winning of any of these. He's bound to improve for the step up in trip, and I think he's well handicapped at 3 mile anyway.
That's excellent, George, particularly your experience with the horse as well. I really enjoyed that. Resplendent Grey gets Sean Bowen. He's up in the rates 142, but the form with Highland and Handstands has worked out well, and they've given him a sighter in that same race that Whistle Stop Shore ran in. So perhaps that will work out pretty well. And Ollie Murphy was particularly bullish on TalkSport about him when he was second to Highland back in Cheltenham back in November. So he can run well, but he's not like he's well handicapped off a mark of 142, which brings me to Jericho Rock. He's alive. He is alive. He finished second in a Ultima off a mark of 138 to one of the best handicapped horses in training in Corrick Rambler, who would go on to win another Ultima and a Grand National. He's got remastered just in front of him in the Hennessy when he's third off 139. Remastered goes and wins a valuable handicap at Kempton off a mark in the high 140s. And he's down to 131 after a lovely comeback run at Windsor on a speed favouring track where he's held up and just shapes nicely so he can't bounce. And he's being backed. 20s, 16s, 14s, 12s, 10s. He'll be single figures on the day. 131, chucked in. Absolutely thrown in. They've been patient. I hope it's rewarded because David Pipe deserves a turn of luck. And especially after losing out on Win Beneath by Wings, who could have gone close in the champion bumper. Jericho Rock, to round things off in the National Chase for me. Terrified of Now Is the Hour. Terrified of him. All right, best bets for Cheltenham day one. Kate Young, who is your best bet of day one of Cheltenham?
Probably have to say Mashborough is probably the best, but he's very, very short. I think I'm at a bigger price. I'm quite keen on Slurricane from an each way point on value as well. But Mashborough, you can't really fault him at this stage.
Okay, massive double figure price horse in the Fred Winter and Mashborough as the safe option. George, best bets for Cheltenham day one.
I think my best bet is going to be Town in the Ultima, 22 to 1 each way.
I'm loving this. Of the shorties, who are you with?
Of the shorties, Kopek they bought.
Adam.
I will go with Mercia in the Boodles.
Okay. Of the short-priced ones, who are you most confident about?
Well, Mashborough is the only one I would back at odds on.
Okay. Mashborough, Kopek de Boards, and Constitution Hill all win. They just win. Lossiemouth may very well win as well, and I'll probably do some sort of ridiculous multiple that then fails spectacularly, and it's so obvious that it fails, but I'll go for it. And I will do Mercia, Jericho Rock, each way in some ridiculous multiple bet as well that features those horses too. Thank you so much to Kate, to George, to Adam. Adam is going to be with us for the rest of the week, taking us through all the rest of the 3 days. We've got Liam Firkin on the show tomorrow as well. Looking forward to that. Andy Newton will be here. Paul Jacobs, 6-time champion tipster, will be on the show as well for his annual Cheltenham special. I'm looking forward to that. And thank you for listening and watching the Final Furlong podcast. It's much appreciated. Likes and shares are really appreciated as well. But we're delighted to have you with us, and we hope you're enjoying the content. Kate, enjoy Cheltenham. Best of luck with horses you're saddling. Which horse are you looking forward to saddling most?
We've one runner in the per temps on Thursday. Win some, lose some.
You could go close.
So, hopefully, if they haven't overwatered.
Has a decision been made, do you know, on Gordon's horse? Is the Wall Park going to go for the stairs? Yeah.
No, he was taken out of the per temps. He's in the stairs.
He's only in the stairs now, yeah.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Confirmed. Gavin Lynch told you. All right. George, you're there for the week?
I'm there Tuesday, Wednesday. Do you mind if I just give a quick plug to the old cheat sheet?
Of course. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So last year I gave it away for free. Essentially, I write a small it's a large PDF, giving a win and each way selection in each race is what it tends to be. Last year, if you backed all of them at advised prices, where, you know, I don't recommend backing all of them. You can pick one in each race. You can have races off. You can do what you like. If you packed all of them at recommended prices last year, it would have yielded a profit of £24.96, I think, to a pound. If you backed them at SP, that goes down to £6. So it's worth backing. It's worth getting the cheat sheet as early as you can. There's a helpful key at the beginning of it explaining I've got full rationale for every selection. I've got betting advices, the type of bet, when to bet, extra places, forecasts, things like that. And it was very popular last year. I gave it away for free. This year I'm charging a £5 for every single race. DM me on Twitter. It's at George F. Gorman. And thank you anyone listening who's already bought it. Thanks so much. I've been overwhelmed by how popular it's been. But yeah, there's still time. It's fully updated, including declarations from today. So get hold of your copy while you can.
The work you did last year was absolutely outstanding. To be giving that away for a £5 is gold dust. Gold dust. Highly recommend you're taking that. You really should be. It's absolutely excellent. I hope you're selling it out left, right, and centre. I hope you run out of PDFs, as if that could happen. But best of luck to you with it, George. It's brilliant work, and you deserve that to go well for you. Adam, where's the content at the races?
So for Total Performance Data, we've got an At the Races column every day. There'll be a tip every day on TalkSport Breakfast, I think, as well. Got some nice handwriting that people have been asking for, so I've done a few handwritten explanations. And then we should also have a daily video at the end of each day when we'll review the data for the winner of the championship race. And I think there'll be a weekly review as well, but I might have passed out by then. We'll see.
Yeah, my producer at TalkSport was saying to me on Friday, we're gonna all need a good long 48-hour nap by the time Friday comes around. I'm looking forward to talking to you again tomorrow, Adam, as we preview day 2 of Cheltenham. But you should be checking out all that excellent content on the At the Races website and TPD. Right, from George, Kate, Adam, and me, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the Final Furlong Podcast. I really hope you've enjoyed it. More content coming your way, and there's already loads of great stuff there. Page fuller with the brilliant Race IQ data. Henry de Bromhead, Robbie Power, Nico de Boinville, Danny Mullins, Ella McNeil, James Reevely, all giving you their time on the Final Furlong Podcast. Likes and shares are much appreciated, and subscribes to the podcast and subscribes to the YouTube channel are also greatly appreciated. We really appreciate you being with us, and we hope you're enjoying the content. Look after yourself and each other. We'll talk to you again soon. God bless.
The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.